Hi everyone and welcome to Darlene's Creative Studio. We're going to be working on day 21 of our Creative Journal Prompt Challenge. And I'm going to be working with some scrap bits of paper. I'm just going to glue my little card in here for day 21. Oop. Drop it. Let's glue that in here. I hope you've been following along. Each day it becomes harder and harder to come up with a project as you get into your 31-day challenge. But having the prompts really helps me. I go through my prompts and I grab something and I try and think of an idea that I can use up what I have on hand. So I'm trying to use up the pieces of scrap paper and things that I brought along with me on vacation. So it's getting harder and harder each day, but it's a lot of fun when you can really think of a neat project to make. So this one I'm just going to dig into my scrap papers and make another pocket for my binder. January 21, 2020. Okay. So as I was looking at some of my scrap papers that I had in my little tray here, and this is where I just throw after working on a project, I throw things in here. I was looking at my binder and I thought I'm going to make another one of these pockets, but I'm going to put it on the back because it's a little plain and I'd like to make something to go on here. So I did have a piece of this black cardstock that I had punched to make a divider, and I had put something on here, an envelope, and it was crooked, so I ripped it off, and of course it wrecked the cardstock. So I'm going to use this piece. This was a scrap piece, and I just used the size that it was, folded in two edges, about 3/4 of an inch and the bottom, and created a little pocket. And this is going to go, let me just move my scrap paper out of here. This is going to go onto the back of my binder right here. So I thought I'd make something, a pocket and maybe a tag to go on the back here. So we're going to start with the book page. And I did already grab a book page out of my stash. And that will fit on there like that. And that's going to be the start of our collage. So what we're going to do quickly is just distress the edges of this book page. And then I'm going to start digging through my bin to see what we can come up with for collaging and making something to go inside this pocket. There are so many YouTubers that come up with some really great ideas, or that have tried a couple of ideas over and over again. I know there's so many envelope journals and there's so many file folder journals, and it's just, I love watching them to see their different takes on how they come up with just changing it or tweaking it a little bit. So it's kind of neat to kind of sit down and just late in the evenings when my husband goes to bed, I like to turn on my YouTube videos and just kind of watch a couple just to see if I can come up with some new ideas. And that kind of spurs me on with my prompts. When I'm thinking about my prompts, I will look for something that will tweak me and say, oh, I can use that prompt tomorrow because I can make that I saw in that lady's journal. So we're just going to glue the book page onto the pocket. I want to make sure I get right to those edges because it's a thin book page. So we're going to go ahead and add that there. And I think what I might do is glue the pocket down, and then that way it won't be jumping around as I'm working on it. And I'm going to use Fabri-Tac to glue that down because I'm gluing it to the fabric, and I find the Fabri-Tac really grabs the fabric a little better for gluing. The art glitter glue just stays wet longer. and it's a little harder to grab. So I'm just going to glue the bottom piece up for a second, just to kind of hold that in place. There we go. And then I'm just going to go ahead and glue around the edges. I think I'm just going to grab my scissors, oops, and just trim these little corners off just a little bit, not a lot, just so we don't see them as much when we're putting things into the pocket. There we go. All right, so let's get this guy glued on, and I have to be careful because I have some little holes there that I had punched when I was making it a divider. I don't want to put the glue through there and end up gluing it closed. That part dried a little bit. There we go. So let's position it a little lower so that we can get our card out once it's in there. Set him aside. And I'm just going to push that down and hold that there. Okay, so there is our pocket on, and let's just figure out what we're going to do with this pocket here. Okay, so I'm just going to go through my little scrap bin here, and I'm just going to pull out some little bits and pieces of things that I might use for this. Maybe a piece of that. Let's grab some of those. There's that little piece. Okay, let's see what we can do with those. And some more book pages. Maybe something like that. Okay. So let's start with some of these. We can just kind of play. Now I did have a little card set aside. I did have this. I cut this out of some scrapbooking pad of paper. It was one of the little journaling cards that came with the pad of paper. So I think this is what's going to go on the center. So I just want to collage kind of around. Like that's going to be. Let's see what else we can use. What about this? What if I trim this up a little bit so it's not so torn? Like that. Maybe that could go up the side. Leave that guy there. And then maybe put that there. Maybe that there. Let's see how that looks. Let's start with those. Okay, so I'm going to put on this little piece of tissue paper. This was the tissue paper that came in my Creative Studio box that I get each month. And I get washi stickers and all kinds of neat stuff in my monthly mailing, and I just absolutely love it. So let's just glue that on there. And then I think I'm going to glue this on as well. And I'm not going to worry too much about using my paintbrush to flatten this out because it's going to be behind that little card that goes in the middle. I'm not going to worry too much about flattening it out. When I was doing it on the cards, I was actually brushing it onto the cards and flattening out the ink so that I didn't get all these little lines. But this is just going to be behind something, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. So let's kind of have that there. There. I still want to see a bit of that little book page there. So that will go like that. And then let's distress the edges of my... My hands are all sticky. I was trying to wipe them off. Just add a little bit of distressing to the sides of this. Okay, so we'll put that there. And then I might add this little guy into the corner here and then add a little piece of, let's do that. And we can make this, can we make this a pocket maybe? think I'm going to try it as a pocket. So let's just glue around the edges. So I've just done like a little, what I call a U or a C. We're going to put that right there. Like that. And then I'm going to put this little guy on here, and I'll maybe put a little bit of paper in the middle of that. This was punched out with my oval punch, my new oval punch that I got. So let's put that there, and I'm going to bring it right down so I don't cover up too much of that dragonfly. And then I think I have some scrap book page in here. Let's see. There's some. So I'm going to take my oval punch. Let's see if I can do this here. And let's punch an oval out. And that will go in there. So now I'm going to try and make it just a tiny bit smaller. I might not be able to do it this way. Get that little guy out of the way there. There we go. Not going to be perfect, but it's going to be okay. Let's see if that'll fit in there. Just going to trim this last little bit off here. There, good enough. When you're winging it's good enough. Okay, I'm just going to distress around the edges of that paper. This is very thin. This is from the front of a book page. There we go. Let's add that on there. And put that in the middle of our little card here. Oh, not bad. Not bad for winging it. I'm just going to trim that a little bit there. Okay, so now let's make a little pocket to go on the inside of this. I did have this scrap left over from the 6-inch squares that I used to make the booklet the other day. And I do have to trim this back a little bit. And I wanted to make it fit. So let's trim it back a tiny bit here. Let's see if that will fit in there. I probably should have cut a little tab out of there, but that's okay. Yeah, that'll fit in there, that's fine. Okay, and then what I was thinking is I'd like to keep this side plain, but I don't really like the map all that much. So let's add a piece of this book page to one side, and then maybe something like this to the other side and make it a pocket. Let's do that. How do I need this to go down? To that one. Okay, so let's put some glue on here. It's gotten colder here. It was only 50 degrees today. The sun was shining, so it was nice. We could still sit out on the balcony, but it was a little cool when we went out today. Out and about, and it was cool. We bundled up in our sweaters and made sure we were nice and warm. Alright, I'm just going to move this little guy out of the way for a second. Okay, and let's cut that off at the bottom. There we go. Throw that in our scrap bin. And I'm just going to put a little tiny bit on that corner because it didn't have enough there. There we go. And then I'm just going to take this piece, I like the grungy look of it, and I'm going to add that on there, like that. Yeah. Do we want the grunge or do we want the music book? Let's go with the grunge. And again, we're just going to glue the edges so we can have a little pocket. And let's glue that guy on there. And then we can take a little scrap like this. And this was a ticket of some kind. And maybe we can add that to the top. Let me just... on top of that, like that, and then that gives it a little bit more. I think I'm going to do that. I like that look. Okay, so let's add that on top of our pocket here. Slide that over, slide that guy over. There we go. And we're just going to cut this piece off. Add that there. So we have a little pocket here. And this is going to be our card. And what I'm going to add on the back of this, I'm going to take... I'm going to make something that's 4 by 6. Let's see if I can find something that's 4 by 6. It's not 4 by 6. I'm just going to cut something that's 4 by 6 to use as my insert. So let's say 4 by 6. So I've just taken a little 4 by 6. Now that's going to be too big. So let's do a 3 by 5 then. 3 by 5 will fit. And that's the standard size of a index card. Okay, so I'm going to use a 3 by 5 because that's another standard size. And I'm just going to grab some of these little photo corners out of here. And I'm just going to add them to this piece of cardstock. Let's do it from the bottom up. Okay. So this is where your photo will go. I'm just going to leave that in there like that. And that's very crooked, Darlene. Let's do it before it gets too sticky. Come on. There we go. Get back on there. And that's a little better. Okay. So this will be the photo card side. And this has a little pocket. And we can create a little card that will slide in here. Let's see what we got for some scrap here. Put this guy out of the way. Got this little card. Oh, I've got this little label. I thought this was really neat. I thought maybe I could... We can cut that out, or we can actually add one of our own labels. Let's see. And we'll just straighten that out. So we can add that on there, or we can just stick it in as a little tag. And let's use the I need something a little bigger to put in there. we could use a piece of paper. How high do we need it? Okay, so we probably need it about 5 inches tall. Right there, and we'll probably only need it about that wide. Okay. So again, we're just guesstimating. We don't need to have it perfect. Let's do it 3 inches wide. And then we will round out these corners. That one's already rounded out. Hopefully it'll be the same-ish. There we go. There. So we've got our little piece of paper there. We've got our little tag. We've got our photo card, and I'm going to grab, I just bought this punch today, and it makes, I'm going to turn it this way so I can get it in there. Where is it? Oh, it's on the lock, that's why. We'll figure it out. I'm just going to put this in here. I'm going to eyeball where the center is. Punch that out, and it gives you the cut of like a packaging. And then I'm just going to take a little piece of this fabric. This is some scrap fabric, and I'm just going to cut it in half. And I thought I could just pop this through here and make a little top for it. Like that, and we'll make it a little smaller. Like that, and we'll just cut this a little smaller, like that. There, and let's round out the corners on this. Go. Just going to trim that guy. So now we have a little piece of, oh, I got the paper there. Let's just trim that, let's trim that back. I punch my corners. Oops, I like to see where I'm punching them. There we go. So we have a little scrap there. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue, just a tiny bit right there where that punch opened up our little pocket there. There we go. So I have that little piece of paper there. We can add the tag on the front. I kind of like that on the front. There. So we have a little pocket here with some card, and you can write on this line page as well. And this is just all scraps from my scrap bin here. I throw things in as I'm working, and then these just are little pieces left over, and they will get thrown in to the scrap bin as well. Oh, here's my little circle. Okay. And let's just see how this looks inside our little pocket here. Oops, got glue on my pin. All right, where's our binder? Here it is. So we have our little photo paper, and we have our tag on the back, and that's just going to slide into the pocket. Actually, you know what? I like to slide this in just in case I've glued the edges down. Like that. There we go. And then we're just going to slide our little photo card in there. And I think my label's still wet. There. I'm just going to pull those, make them nice and tight. And there, we have a little pocket on the back. Oh, I have to make a little card for in here. What can we use? That's about the size we want. It has to be a little wider. Let's use this one. I'm going to use our ruler here, and we want something that will stick out. So let's say 3 inches by 4 inches. 4 inches by 3 inches. That's 3 inches there. Let's see how that fits in there. That fits in nicely. Alrighty. And we can maybe just glue a piece of this onto the back of it. There we go. And we'll trim it up. Make sure it's nice and tight on the corners. And we're going to trim this guy up. Let's go ahead and round our edges. I'm going to trim that little guy back a bit. There we go. And we can distress the edges of our card here. That. And I think I will grab I've lost them. I have a little package of tabs and I want to add one onto the card so that when I put it in I can grab it out. Now this is still a little bit damp, so we should really be careful when sliding this in. We don't want to glue everything closed. So I'm just going to set that in there like that, and I'm going to grab one of my little tabs in here, right in front. I'm blind. And attach that onto the card so that we can pull that out. And let's put that on the back of this. So you have lots of room to write. Like that. This is still a bit wet. And that will slide in there. And I'm just going to let it dry a little bit, but it will slide in rather nicely. So we'll let that dry, and there is a quick pocket using up some of our scraps. You can take your pen, and I like to do this on some of my labels and stuff, and just do like little, I haven't got my sewing machine here, so I just make little dashes to go around to make it look like stitching. And you can do zigzag if you haven't got a sewing machine. This is a great way of cheating. And there you go. There's using up some scraps. And creating a little card with a piece of paper here that you could slide in there and use it as a little photo card. So not a long one today, but a good way to use up your scraps and add a little bit more decor to the back of our binder here. I don't want to push that in too far because it'll stick in there because it's too wet. So that's it. That's it for day 21. Quick and easy. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you tomorrow.